Powered by Playtech. Hey guys, Arcadian here, back again with another episode of Tips for Gold. This week, freezing. So this week we're going to be looking at freezing. Now I know a lot of you already probably know what freezing is and how to freeze your lane, but I just want to take this chance to go in, refresh, and go through some of the finer details of your freezing game. So this week we're going to be going over what is freezing, why freezing is useful, how to freeze, and some advanced tactics. So freezing is when you stop a minion wave from pushing in either direction in lane and keeping it completely still as if it was frozen. It's a basic concept, but can be pretty handy, and here's why. An ideal freeze looks something like this, and if you manage to pull this off, it gives you quite a few big advantages. One is that you are safe from all ganks. It becomes very difficult now for a jungler to gank you, and you can stay safe in lane and focus on farming. Two is that your enemy now must overextend in his lane to farm with you. Obviously, this lets your jungler come along whenever you want and kill them. 3, it stops all dueling potential for the other laner. If you're versing, say, an Aurelia or a Riven, or somebody who loves to fight in lane, freezing the wave would stop them being able to do this, completely denying their opportunity to snowball. Now before we start, I just want to explain a few concepts which will really help your wave management first. So the first one is wave health. So your wave health is the total health of your entire wave. So let's say you or your enemy have 6 minions. You've got 3 melee minions with about 300 health each, and you've got 3 caster minions with about 250 health each. That means your total wave health is sitting at 1650. Now the wave with the least total health will die first and therefore get pushed against. The second concept is wave damage. Now just like wave health, it is the total cumulative damage of you or your enemy's wave. So again, let's say we've got 6 minions, 3 melee minions which do 20 damage each, and 3 caster minions which do about 40 damage each. So our total wave damage is sitting at about 180. Now eventually, the wave with the higher wave damage will push. Usually you don't need to know this, because at a glance, the wave with the most minions generally has the most total health and total damage. But to learn the finer mechanics behind freezing, how to set up a freeze properly, you do need to be aware of these. So as the waves come together at the start of the game, they're both equal. The opposing forces are equal, and so the lane will stay the same. However, usually early game, people like to push the wave a little to get level 2 fast and rush a trade. However, if you plan to freeze a wave, this is perfect, because the wave damage just went from 180 each to 180 plus the enemy damage, so it'll eventually push towards you. Now as the wave pushes towards you, you just want to simply last hit, but make sure you're attacking less than your enemy, because you want the enemy wave damage to be higher than yours, so it'll continue pushing. And then once you get it to a position you want, just outside your tower range, you want to begin the freeze. To freeze the wave, all you need to do now is balance the wave's damage output and total health. So for every time the enemy attacks, you want to match that. If the enemy minion damage is slightly higher, attack slightly more. If the enemy is slightly less, attack slightly less. The longer you can maintain this and balance the waves, the longer your freeze will stand. Now I'm planning on going over more advanced tactics for holding a freeze lane at the end, but for now, let's move on. The final thing you need to know is how to break a freeze, because no doubt if this happens to you, you need to know how to stop it. And you need to know what to look for to try and stop the enemy breaking your freeze. So the only way that a frozen lane can be broken is by unbalancing the wave damage, and the easiest way to do this is to get the tower involved, because it will uncontrollably force damage onto the minions, killing them and resetting the lane. So to stop a frozen lane, all you need to do is use all your abilities and push the minion wave into the tower as fast as you can to have it reset. And as the freezer, you need to do everything you can to stop the enemy doing this. A really important and key trick to freezing a lane is being able to nullify your minions' damage. Now what this means is to watch your minions' projectiles and kill the minion that is being targeted as those projectiles are in mid-flight. What this will do is make those projectiles do absolutely no damage, meaning your freeze will hold longer because you managed to lower your wave damage output even more. The second trick is to use your body to block minions. Now sometimes if your enemy pushes much faster than you, and your minions aren't quite in range yet to fight, you can stand in front of the minions to tank them and stop them getting in range of your tower and resetting. Only do this if you don't think that your enemy will be capable of damaging you too much while you're doing it, or if you risk taking too much damage. So, that's all for this week. I hope you learned something, I hope you enjoyed. I'd love to hear all your feedback and suggestions for next week in the comments below, but until next week, Scurb's out. Did you know that Cho'Gath has an execute indicator when his feast is off cooldown that lets you know when you can kill the enemy? Are